Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Raising Dragons, What Game of Thrones Teaches Us About Performance Coaching and Building Teams. My name is Kara Lucas and I will be your moderator for today's session. I'm going to go through a few notes before we get started. I know a lot of you are probably still working on getting your audio set up, so we'll give you a couple of minutes if you need them to reference the graphic on the screen now. If you're new to FOT broadcasts, our webinars are super interactive and we encourage you to get involved in the show in a couple of different ways. The first way is to submit your questions throughout the presentation to our questions box, and we'll try to address those at the end of the presentation. The other way we'd like you to participate is on Twitter. So we're big Twitter users over here at FOT, and we'll be using the hashtag Halogen. Halogen's our sponsor for today. We'll definitely get to them a little later, but that's another way that you can follow along in the back channel with us. So without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce our presenters for today's webinar. Our first presenter is Mr. Chris Dunn. Chris is the CHRO at Kinetics, an RPO and recruiting firm out of Atlanta. He's also a founder of the blogs Fistful of Talent, The HR Capitalist, and last but certainly not least, especially if you follow him on Instagram, he's definitely a self-proclaimed hoops junkie. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kara. And I'd like to point out that's not self-proclaimed. Many people around me would cite me as a hoops junkie. Thanks for being here, Kara. Thanks for running this.
No problem. No problem. Glad to be here. I'll go ahead and move on to our second presenter today, Miss Dawn Burke. Dawn is the VP of People at Daxco out of Birmingham, Alabama, and is the founder of our HR Focus blog, Dawn H. Burke. And she's also a longtime contributing blogger at FOT and a big Game of Thrones fan. Welcome to the show, Dawn. How are you?
I'm doing really well. You guys can't see me, but I've got a big Game of Thrones flag behind me. Targaryen, House Targaryen, yay! And my fun fact is that I think that a wheel of brie and a bottle of wine makes for a very delicious dinner. So there we go.
I would agree with you there. Nice. Well, we're glad to have you, Dawn. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and intro our third presenter. Today is Ms. Connie Costigan, VP of Communications at Halogen Software. Even more importantly, we lovingly refer to her and coined the term Crazy Hockey Mom of the Year. Or did you actually win that, Connie?
No, Kara, that was Chris Dunn and Tim Sackett that saw a picture of my child in a harness skating practice and gave me the title. It was quite the feat. But yeah, my kids love hockey, and you know, we've got nothing better to do to kill time up here in Canada during the 6 months of winter that we have. And winter is coming, so super pumped to join the team on this webcast today. Huge fan of the gang at FOT and the topic we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to hear to have you and to hear your coaching style too. So without anything else, I'll go ahead and give it to Chris and Dawn and Connie to take it from here and get the show started. Welcome, you guys.
Okay, thank you, Kara. Hey, Chris Dunn with you guys. You know, we've already heard it in the intros. I'm CHRO at Kinetics, run a blog called Fistful of Talent. A lot of you found us through that. Halogen's a great sponsor and a great friend of Fistful of Talent, also at the HR Capitalist. And hey, I got to tell you, I got to start with a 10-second ad. If you're ever in the mood for a great talent management solution, Halogen's got the suite. Look them up. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, but we're going to keep the ads to a minimum and get straight to Game of Thrones. Okay, so before I do that, you know, this webinar is about what we can learn from coaching our teams in a Game of Thrones kind of way. So before we do that, we thought, hey, we got to give you a couple of level sets related to what coaching means to us at FOT. So I've got 2 or 3 slides, going to warm us up, and this is going to serve as kind of the background as we go through some of the Game of Thrones characters to talk about what their coaching strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what it meant for them getting offed, if you will, or what it means for them moving forward if they're still alive. So first thing we want to say for us at Fistful of Talent, coaching, I mean, real simple definition here. We go a lot more in depth on this, but to keep it simple, coaching is a dialogue between manager and employee on any component of performance that's in need of a tweak, okay? So that's kind of the way we look at this. We don't like micromanagers because those exert control over how work gets done. And by the way, there's some of these folks on Game of Thrones, people who, when they do try and coach, it's less coaching, it's more micromanagement. People with a narrow focus, the direct reports of that manager tend to